All right. Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, February 13th. It's a little after 7:30. Can you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess I'm supposed to say that now. I apologize. Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, February 13th, a little after 7:30. We just came from executive session. We were discussing cell tower agreement, among other issues. Before we get to our regular agenda items, we are very lucky to be joined tonight by County Executive George Latimer and Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. We truly appreciate you coming tonight and would welcome you to the podium to say whatever it is that you'd like to talk about.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, and to the other leaders, Chris Bradbury and the rest of the leaders here. We appreciate the opportunity to come and visit. As you know from my past service in representing Rye Brook as an assemblyman and a senator, and then previously in my time as county executive, I try to come at least once a year for sort of a formal update of issues. We meet whenever we have to meet on a wide variety of issues, but I always think it's respectful to come before your honorable board, give you an idea of what's happening. And there are 45 municipalities in Westchester County. This is our third as we do the rounds. I try to do them every year. This year I brought Ken along for, the enjoyment of it. And, but we do think it's important to give you a quick update. We'll try to go as fast as we can. If you have questions, by all means, you can ask us. But if things come up as they do as we go forward, we're happy to be available to come back for specific meetings on specific issues, and also members of our operating team as necessary. Our County Attorney John Nona, Director of Operations Joe McDonald, her team. A couple things quickly. We operate on a calendar year, fiscal year, so our new budget year began January 1st. The Board of Legislators adopted and we signed into law our budget in December. It is a $2.4 billion budget, and we have a couple of special districts. You're well aware of the Blind Brook Sewer District, Portchester Sewer Districts, the Refuse District, that's almost a county-wide district, and a number of other things that we're involved in. We, this year, had no increase in our general tax levy, which is the biggest part of what you pay. There was an increase in the special districts. We're dealing with, some long-term fiscal issues in those that we have to correct, but there's a much smaller number. So for the basic obligation of a taxpayer, no increase from 24 to from 23. The 4 prior years, we actually cut the county property tax levy. So we've had 4 years of cuts, 1 year of zero, meaning you're paying less in total county tax levy today than you did 5 years ago. And we hope that that's a positive situation. Your board and the town board and us together is 1/3 of your property taxes. So the larger portion isn't the 3 of our governments. But nonetheless, we're trying to do our share of it. And then at the same time, try to work cooperatively with the village in certain projects and things where there are some costs that the county would pick them up and deal with them. One of the most important things is the sales tax revenue that you receive is share back. A couple of years ago, when we equalized sales tax across the county, that gave a bump to the amount of sales tax money that this village and others received, and we made it a point of having a 20% share back of that additional revenue because we know you have a budget to balance and you want to keep taxes low, and you've done that, and to try to be helpful to you with it. Going back to my assembly days, I regret the closure of the 2 hotels because we were able to drive on an annual basis significant money into this village. When those 2 hotels were operating, they paid a hotel occupancy tax, which didn't touch the pockets of the residents and didn't change the viability of the hotels. I understand Arrowwood may be doing something in the future. Hopefully, if you all, from a land use standpoint, decide to do that, that may reestablish some of it. And I know that your current Assembly member, Steve Otis, and Senator Shelley Mayer have been extremely diligent in keeping that reauthorized each year, regardless of what it generates. So I think those are just 2 examples of how we understand your economic situations, and we want to be a partner with you in that.
Thanks, George. And certainly one of the best benefits that we've gotten over the last year was the great news that our bond rating had gotten increased. When we first came in Georgia in 2018, we had a downgrade from the AAA bond rating that the county traditionally had. And now we are back at least at AAA bond rating from Fitch, AA plus for Standard & Poor's with a positive outlook, and Moody's kept us level with a stable outlook, and that's certainly great because of all the great projects that we do for Westchester County and be able to help save additional tax dollars as we generate those projects. Our capital budget is $360 million. $160 million of that is in our special uses districts, but those projects get to do many things that I'm happy help in the village and around the county. And one of the biggest projects that we have is certainly at the airport, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. We have a $90 million fund that's for fair and affordable housing. That started when we walked through the door at $40 million. Now we're at $90 million with a flex fund that can help make sure that the projects that you all approve actually can get done because of things like whether it's increases in interest rates or supply chain costs that have happened over the period of times because the projects take a while to get done. So we're looking forward to continuing to do that, and we'll turn back over to George.
Some of the other things that we put in this budget that is underway now, we've set aside money to fully fund our county police and our EMS programs. The village interacts with them in a couple of different ways. Certainly, Chief Austin from time to time may need time with the county police for some of the regional functions that we provide, some of the backup functions that's available. Hopefully, Chief, our leadership is working cooperatively with your department effectively. We have put into place now for the third year mental health crisis response teams. There's one that covers this particular region of Portchester, Harrison, Ryan, so forth, so that if there's a report of an incident that involves a person who's having a mental health situation, when Rybrook Police respond, a county-funded mental health professional responds with them at the direction of the incident commander, or whoever that might be, to determine if it's something that can be de-escalated. So you have a professional mental health person to go along with the professional police department. That's something the county has done. We've set aside $8 million in our budget for economic development. That involves lots of different programs and services. We have different job fairs. We have different elements of the things that we do to help incentivize businesses. Some of it comes from our industrial development agency. That agency has the responsibility to provide those incentives in Rybrook for any projects that may come along, but they have to have the approval of the local government. We don't do them over the top of you. If you believe that a certain project is worthwhile and you're going to give the zoning and land use approvals to it, then the county is able to step in and do some of the financial assistance as well. We've added the position of Director of Flood Mitigation and Resiliency. It's a big issue here. Like you, I've walked, Brook Lane and, that area that's been very heavily hit by flooding, and we know that whatever the research is that has to be done, that's expensive. We can be cooperative with you in helping to fund that. When we get to the part of the mitigation, it's so expensive. You can't pay for it. You and I together can't pay for it. We need the state, and we actually need the federal government at the end of the day to do the kind of construction that's needed. We put money into electric vehicle charging stations to try to deal with that particular issue. We have a certain amount of money that we're using for the ones that we're putting in, and then we've also put a $5 million fund aside, which is available to help fund electric vehicle charging stations that you want to do. And that application form on stormwater and so forth. As you know, we've electrified our bus system. Not a lot of Beeline bus system service in Rybrook, I understand, but by electrifying it, it means no diesel exhaust when it pulls out of the stop. And then also, we made it free during the summertime and the holiday season, which is a help for those people that are indigent. And, you do get that 13 route that's pretty populated that goes from downtown Portchester. It does cut through a portion of Rybrook on its way to where else it's going. Ken will cover a few other things, then we'll wrap it up.
Thanks, George. And in addition to that, we put in some dollars for $1.5 million for tobacco cessation for our young folks that are 21 and under that should not be smoking according to our laws. So we have a program that's rolling out shortly that works with our local providers, the nonprofit organizations to make sure that we can take care of making sure that we are catching those folks that are doing the things incorrectly, selling cigarettes and those kind of things, and vaping products, flavored vaping products, which are illegal in the state of New York. So anyway, we're trying to continue that. We put $5 million in our budget this year for our nonprofit partners, working with the Board of Legislators to identify where we can do things as best as possible. $1.3 million for food insecurity for the people in Westchester County. And then we also put in $1 million, again, in our outpatient mental health clinic, where we're trying to work with our nonprofit partners with Project Alliance that the program County Executive Latimer just pointed out earlier, with the mental health professionals, with the police, the local police departments, regionalized, and we're working with then a outpatient clinic that we're going to have from the county perspective to take care of the individuals that need additional support that our local nonprofits can't give. So, George.
So just to wrap it up on a few things, first of all, we work very closely with Nancy Barr, who serves as your county legislator. We all know her well as a friend, and her advocacy on these issues for your village and the other parts of her district are very strong. A couple of the local issues that are at hand. Certainly the airport is a major issue and will continue to be a major issue for all time. We have not in our 6 years done anything to expand the airport. However, our controls at the airport are limited to the things that we have on the commercial side of the airport, where we have limits to passengers per half hour and gates, and then the limits on the general aviation side is what we authorize or don't authorize in the expansion of fixed-based operations. And we are in court right now on 2 cases, both of which we are resisting increases by, in one case, Millionaire, another case, an organization called Charteris, that are trying to justify being able to fly more flights in and out and maintain that. We have our airport advisory board that happens to have 2 members who live in Rybrook. Peter Schlachtis, who you well know, runs your board, and Sal Crescenzi, a former mayor of the village, are both serving on that advisory board right now. David Gelfarb, who was a county legislator, no longer lives in the town of Rye, but did at one point, and he now represents Harrison on that board. So you've got some people on the board that have the understanding of how the people in Rybrook feel vis-a-vis the airport. We walk a fine line. The airport is an important transportation hub. It is an economic development tool. It is a very difficult neighbor to live next to or to live under the flight path. And so that balancing point is always at hand. We did some seasonal increase of parking, which we ended at the end of the seasonality. We don't want to have permanent additional parking year-round, but we have such a problem with parking at the holiday season that we couldn't just let it spill out into the streets around it. That's not a safe thing to do. And we face right now at the terminal a problem in being able to handle the flow of people as they come in. We now have, TSA services that require you to go through security once, not in and back out, to have services out in the area. So we're discussing how that might be fixed for the future. And then the other major issue right now, I think that's in your backyard, although not in your community, is the Westchester Joint Waterworks proposal to swap land that they own with land that we own so that they can build a water filtration plant. The people who drink that water primarily are those who live in the village of Mamaroneck, the town of Mamaroneck, and the village town of Harrison. And the Joint Waterworks is under federal mandate to build a filtration plant. It is not an option. It's not, this plant is not going to not happen. It's going to happen someplace, and someplace in proximity to the Kensico Reservoir. So it is not like this could be placed 10 miles away and it would all work out. The proposal that's before the Board of Legislators right now is a second site. There's an original site further south off of Purchase Street and north of Anderson Hill Road in that interior area. That site was rejected over time, neighborhood opposition to it. The site that's under discussion now is further up inland from Purchase Street and Lake Street. It's right behind where the Quaker Meeting House is, and of course, they're in opposition to it. Neighbors are still in opposition to it. The board is discussing it, and at some point in time, if they decide to do the swap, then they will send a conveyance to me. If they decide not to do the swap, I'm not sure what happens after that, but the bottom line is that this is an issue that has 2 sides to it and very controversial. There are probably other issues, but I think I've taken around 15 to 20 minutes, and that's probably enough. But we're always available to reach out to us, and that's anybody on our executive team. And certainly, as I've said, you've got a terrific advocate in Nancy. And at the county level, just like at the village level, we're on a first-name basis. This is not, you must, go through the mountaintop to get to the top of the mountain. If there's a problem, you can reach out to us, and we'll talk, we'll stop by, we'll do whatever it is that we can. Sometimes our interests won't be in alignment, but we'll do everything we can to try to make our interests in alignment so that it's helpful to you and to the people of the village. So with that, I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you or your colleagues have any questions, we're happy to take them, and we're happy to leave whenever you tell us to go.
Sure, just a few comments. I don't know if I have any questions, but after I make a few comments, I'll certainly open it to questions from the rest of the board. But I just want to, Mr. Latimer, thank you for your service over the years. As you said, you were our representative in the Assembly, the Senate, and now as our county executive, and we've found you to be a big supporter of Rybrook, and we appreciate that. And Mr. Jenkins, thank you for your support as well through your time with the county. The sales tax has been a boon for the village and for all the municipalities in Westchester, and we certainly appreciate that. It helped us weather the storm when we did lose those hotels, which hopefully are coming back. And so having that hotel tax has been very instrumental for us as a village. As you mentioned, flooding is a major issue in Rybrook. Unfortunately, we lost 2 residents during Ida, and it's something that's always been on my mind personally, and something that we've been working with the city of Rye and other partners to try and come up with common solutions. And the county has been a great partner in trying to find some of those solutions, especially with Avon Circle and what we've been trying to accomplish there. Hopefully we can find the grant money to finish that project out. Affordable housing, obviously something always on our mind. It's great to hear that the county's doing more for that. As you may be aware, we just opened some more units in Rybrook that are now occupied just within the last few months. And Rybrook is in a unique situation in which we have a floating affordable housing zone where it can basically be put anywhere in the village, assuming it meets other codes. You mentioned EMS, and you're looking at one of the biggest champions of EMS in New York State right here, Chris Bradbury, and he has been a huge champion for EMS. And the charging stations, we're taking advantage of that county project.
I saw the smile on Chris's face.
We're putting in 8 units outside of Village Hall, so 4 bays, each with 2, and then another 4 at Garibaldi Park, so a little bit farther down. And regarding the airport, I've long contended that Rybrook is potentially affected more than any other community by the airport. We have houses within a quarter mile of the runway, that the planes are coming in 100 feet off the ground. I doubt it's that little, but they're coming in real close off the ground, right over Belfair. And the Blind Brook, all the water from the airport runs down the Blind Brook through Rybrook. So we're very much affected by that. And we know that the county's undergoing a master plan. Just so you're aware, in case you weren't already, at our last board meeting, we voted to create an intermunicipal task force. So a limited task force just to look at the master plan itself. So I believe we've heard back from the City of Rye, Town of Greenwich, the Village of Portchester, and
I think North Castle and Newcastle are going to participate as well.
And North Castle and Newcastle may participate. But that came as a recommendation out of our own Airport Advisory Committee, and something that's just looking at the master plan, something that all municipalities that are relatively affected by it can have a part in. Please.
May I just interject that I made the decision to suspend the work we were doing on the master plan because of those 2 lawsuits. My concern is that how those lawsuits were adjudicated could affect what we would have to do in the master plan. We obviously expect to win those cases, holding on to authority, but if for some reason we lose that authority, that would affect what we would commit to do and go forward. So to the extent that we did that, that was a conscious decision. We think we're going to win both cases, but until we know for sure, that's why we've had it on hold. But where we are to this point in terms of the master plan is certainly something that you and the rest of the committees are welcome to interact with our executive team on.
Yeah, and we actually thought it would be helpful to have a group that would have kind of one voice, get the fact versus fiction out there, because like you said, you have the website where you talk about, the county's position is no expansion of the airport, and how there's a lot of just fiction that gets put out there. So by having one voice, we thought it would be a much more better discussion for everybody, including the county, as you go through that process.
Yeah, and that's really what I had on, from what you were talking about. And again, thank you very much for coming to our meeting.
a few
It's
things,
great to
Mayor?
hear. Yeah, please, Chris.
So just to add a couple of things there too. So, as the mayor said, the Avon project, so the county's been really helpful. We got, I think, $3.5 million through the legacy stormwater funds that are there. So we're looking for the other half of that now to match up, and we have a few grant applications in. We're hopeful we'll be able to get there. You mentioned Brook Lane. I just want to make sure you guys are aware. We're working with the federal government there, the National Resource Conservation Service, on a buyout program. And Brook Lane and Wyman, and we have 22 homes that have all received appraisals and are in the process right now of either accepting the appraisal or withdrawing from the program. We think, and so far nobody's withdrawn officially yet, and we've gotten a lot of acceptances in. So that process has been very helpful, and so just so you guys are aware, that is a buyout program. I think we're the only one in the county that's doing it right now. So we're the only one who took advantage of that program, and it's covered 100% by the federal government, which is wonderful.
So, and in that program, the houses are purchased by the Village of Rybrook, demolished and turned into floodplain.
Yep.
So restored back to floodplain. So it reduces the risk from those houses, obviously immediately because the houses no longer exist, but also helps downstream by creating that extra. And there's an additional program that we're participating in as well from the
Nature Conservancy.
Nature Conservancy, whereby the Nature Conservancy will provide funding to the residents that choose
Directly.
to participate, direct funding to pay for rental.
It's a pilot program. It's a pilot program that can be used for either rental or a down payment on another home, on top of the appraisal amount, which is full value on the day before Hurricane Ida. So it's a nice program. So it's paid for 100%, and that program gets paid directly to the homeowner through this not-for-profit agency. So it's really been a nice program, or at least an opportunity and an option for people.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we're still not looking for other solutions to help for flooding in that area, because some people want to continue to stay there. The other, you mentioned about the water filtration. So Village hasn't taken any position on locations. That's land use for you guys and other municipalities. But I should mention, Veolia does purchase half its water now from the Westchester Joint Waterworks. So what we care about is that it's filtered. We get the filtered water in place, regardless of where the plant is. So we'd like that as soon as possible as our interest. That's what we've said so far.
They were supposed to have a public hearing today, but some snow may have canceled it. The legislators just may not be as hardy as the village is. Moved it to Thursday. So,
Very good. And I should mention, I also just want to say what the mayor said. Just want to say thank you. You guys have always said you want the county government to be accessible to the local municipalities and really be a partnership. I've been in government for 34 years now, and it's never been better in that regard. The relationship has been just fantastic. You guys are always there to help, and hopefully we help you and you help us, and we're able to really make it very smooth. And in particular, we work a lot with all the agencies, but I just want to mention, like, the planning department went through a major change when Norma left and Blanca took over, and that just was seamless. It really was a very nice transition. And I would mention, too, because I work with the Westchester Municipal Officials Association on their board, the County Commissioner for Human Resources really has been fantastic, really trying to make positive change that will help local municipalities. For the first time, this has been such a monumental change for all of us. Everybody's really encouraged about it.
And I should say, we've done our part as well. We now fully own Ridge Street, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Enjoy it.
Are there any questions or comments from the rest of the board?
I think you
Questions
said
from
all the
anyone?
questions we
I
had.
actually have a question for George, and I really need an honest answer from you.
The politician,
Your
remember.
Facebook posts all the time. Do you really think the Mets are going to make the playoffs this year?
If Steve Cohen is watching this, buy us a pitching staff, and then we'll have greater confidence. Right now, I'm very happy that the Rangers and the Knicks, I think, will be the players. So we'll focus on that.
You seem to be avoiding my question.
I think I've answered it.
pitches and catches.
That's right.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming by to the Village of Rybrook. We appreciate it.
Have a good night. Sorry
Safe-
for those
safe
who waited for other
travels.
topics.
Yes.
Wherever you're off to next, get there safely, please. All right. Now resuming with our regular agenda. Resolution number 1, considering a request for an exemption extension of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for Atria Rybrook.
Whereas on April 11th, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a local law enacting a seasonal gas-powered leaf blower ban from May 1st through September 30th, effective May 1st of 2024. And whereas under the Village Code, properties with at least 5 acres can apply to the board for a full or partial extension or exemption of the local law. And whereas an application has been distributed to the known eligible properties in the village of Rybrook and also placed on the Rybrook website. And whereas on January 30th, 2024, representatives of Atria Rybrook submitted an application for an exemption from the requirements of the local law requiring a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. And now therefore be it resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law as well as considerations raised in the application from representatives of Atria Rybrook, the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby either denies, approves, or approves of the conditions the request for an exemption from the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for Atria Rybrook.
Thank you, Chris. And we'll hold off on the motion until we understand where we're going. Do we have representatives of the Atria with us? Can you please come up?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for your consideration and allowing us to be here today. I want to introduce Brian, who represents our landscaping company.
Great. And can you just introduce your name just so we have it for the minutes?
Yes, we need it for the record,
I'm
yeah.
Saba Samuel John. I'm the executive
Thank you.
director at Atria Rybrook.
Thank you.
How you doing? I'm Brian with Griffin's Landscaping. I'm the operations manager. So basically, as things are progressing with battery-operated type equipment, one of the things I can just tell you is that they're just not where they need to be for big complexes. We do have a couple battery-operated backpacks that we use for residential customers and stuff like that. We even have some handheld ones, but the power to them just is not where they need to be. We do monitor, and we keep looking at every year. We see if there's anything better out there. But the backpack blower that we use typically for the gas-powered ones it puts out what's called 1,000 CFM of airflow. The top battery-operated ones, they're just now getting to an 800 CFM, but it still is not even close to being in comparison. We do have, like I said, a couple backpack blowers that we do use when we can, but literally the batteries will last about 25, 30 minutes for those. And there's usually a 2-pack that go together at the same time to get that half hour when you have to go up full blast. We will continue on looking at any new equipment that comes out. You know, same thing. What we do is we look at even the battery-operated mowers. A comparison for what 2 years ago, I looked at 61-inch mowers to sit down ride on once. It was basically $30,000, and it would last maybe for a couple of properties. Something the size of Atria Rybrook, I might be able to get through one property, and then I'd have to charge them up. And I just don't have time to sit there and have the guys charge up the batteries and stuff like that. So, we're not against doing things. It's just that the time frame itself to be able to have the guys go take extra chargers to try to plug them in someplace, or buying extra batteries. One of the batteries costs about $600. That could go down. Who knows? But we do have 6 batteries ourselves that for what we have. So that's what I could tell you about it.
All right, thank you. Just a couple of quick questions, and I'll open it to the board. What areas of, so this is again just off-season, so the May through end of September. During that time period, what areas are you actually using the blowers on?
Actually, we do the lawn areas. We do walkways that go. They have courtyards that where the tenants actually go through, and all the walkways through the front. There's grass all over the place, but we also have to sometimes, especially like this past year, we had a lot of rain, so grass is growing like crazy. So it gets really clumpy, so we have to blow off those areas. Otherwise, it will actually kill off the grass because it's really clumpy. Then we also have to blow off parts of the parking lot because grass gets spread throughout, the parking lot. So we'll have to go through, the parking lots, blow off whatever it may be. Same thing, like, you got trees. Trees don't just lose leaves during the fall. A lot of times, you go into a drought condition, or you could go into where there's so much rain that it could cause leaves to, to drop. So you have to go through and try to blow those areas off as well. So,
All right, and I know we're not the only municipality doing this, that a lot of other regional municipalities some have even out completely banned gas-powered leaf blowers. Are you starting to make some changes?
oh no, that's what I was saying. I do have a couple of backpacks, but again, they don't last that long. But we do use them at the residential customers, and like I said, we also have a couple of handheld ones. Again, we invested a lot of money into those, but again, they just don't last a long time at all.
Questions from the board?
Is there a particular day that you clean Atria, or are you there several times a week?
Atria, Rybrook, I believe we're here on Wednesdays, because we try to lump it together with everything else, because we also go down to Rye and all this area, so we try to do everything the same time, that are in the same area. So that's where we're pretty much, I think it's Wednesdays that we're down here.
No questions.
Questions?
Nope.
All right. Based on what we've done previously, my personal suggestion would be for the 1-year exemption in this instance.
Yeah.
Everyone okay with it?
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Right, but we've
Which
got-
would give you through 24, and then you'd have to come back for 25. We have granted a few 2-year exemptions, but those have typically made significant strides to moving towards electric. So, any other questions?
Well, we have had other people use some of the newer technology near the homes
Right.
to cut down on noise, because it's really a noise
I
pollution.
think that's what he said he's doing, didn't you say?
For the residential.
That's
Not,
residential.
you're talking about the pathways on the back of the, closer to Belfair houses?
Or closer to the building, maybe,
To
right?
the building. I mean,
All
it's
around
their,
the
I mean,
building.
they're
Windows are open,
they're
that
residents also. They're-
There is the bridge that goes off to the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So there's all different areas. But yes, we have done a lot with buying equipment, battery operated stuff. Our crews have them. So again, they just don't last that long. And again, we're going to continue looking at every year. There's going to be new technology coming out. So we have no problem keep looking at things. Arrowway Tractor in Katona, they actually, are one of the local people that deal with the actual battery operated type brands and stuff like that. So we're just going to continue on looking. Like I said, I even looked into the mowers, it's just that it's hard for me to sell $31,000 for something I can't even get a full day out of without charging up someplace again. But as technology gets better, those costs could come down significantly.
So we just like to see people moving forward towards that electric as
Absolutely.
time goes on.
Yeah.
So that's what we've asked everyone that has applied for this kind of relief to do.
I would just say that although I have no problem with granting a 1-year exemption, I don't want you to think that that means, well, we'll probably automatically get it the second year when we apply for it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I don't want you to assume that when you come back here for another exemption, that it will be automatically granted.
I understand that.
No, I would like to see further progress in using electric
Okay.
equipment.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
No.
All right, can I get a motion, please, for a 1-year exemption?
Motion for 1-year exemption.
Second.
Okay. Any other further comments or questions?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Sorry.
Just to be clear, so this is just so that you hear, so they're approving an extension, an exemption for 1 year through October 1st, 2024, which gets you through the current season and gives you time then to apply before the next season. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, let me just start that again.
Yeah, start over.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2, considering authorizing the use of AJP Center to store items for Cub Scout Pack 3 and authorizing an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Cub Scout Pack 3.
Whereas Cub Scout Pack 3 is items of minimal value they are looking to store, and whereas in an email dated January 15th of this year, Cub Scout Pack 3 requested to store certain items in the basement of the AJP Community Center, and whereas the Village of Rybrook is amenable to their request, and whereas the Village of Rybrook seeks to enter into an agreement with Cub Scout Pack 3 to indemnify the village in the event of any damage to the items, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the use of the AJP Community Center to store items for Cub Scout Pack 3 at no charge, and authorizes legal counsel to draft an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Cub Scout Pack 3 to indemnify the village in the event of any damage to any items, and be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to execute the storage agreement prepared by Village Council.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Please.
All right. Good evening, Board. My name is Nick Joseph. I'm the Cub Master of Rybrook Pack 3. We've got over 55 kids from the community that's comprised of predominantly Rybrook, but also Portchester, Harrison, and Purchase. We've got a few kids from those communities as well. And what we have found as an entirely volunteer-run organization, a lot, and we're not sponsored or chartered with a church or a school. We're actually a self-chartered organization. What that means is that many people have bins like this in their garages and basements, and they're just kind of scattered in different places. And we would really desire and appreciate the opportunity to store these in one central location that's safe and dry, and would allow us to access materials that are needed probably a couple times a year per bin. As you can see, I've got probably 500 red Solo cups, not for this weekend's use, but just for events and things like that. So we have our Pinewood Derby that's coming up. We just had our Blue and Gold dinner, so we have a lot of supplies that kind of go into those things. So that was the genesis of our request for some storage space.
I know that Liz said that she has plenty of room for you, but my only question is, it is closed on the weekends. So when are your meetings?
So our meetings are typically on Friday evenings at Ridge Street School, and then sometimes we have weekend, Saturday, Sunday activities or campouts. In those circumstances, what we'd like to do is go to the center, collect the items ahead of time, load up the cars as appropriate, and then come back on Monday or Tuesday during business hours and drop them off.
We made it clear, they'd have to get the items, drop off the items, and collect the items during the days when the center is open.
Yep.
Are most of the things that you're storing, is it all paper goods, or?
It's a mix. So paper goods, but we also have some camping supplies. So like a camping stove, we would not keep any propane in there. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that we have.
Flags.
We've got flags. Those
Flag flags?
yeah, many of you
The
are
street flags.
Alright.
flag subscribers. So we've got those. We also have a Pinewood Derby track. So every year the kids make their little wooden cars and they race down a metal track, and it's broken down into segments. So it's a non-paper good that is involved in our pack activities. And one of the things that we've looked into getting, and Mayor Klein was kind enough to lend us one, was a portable canopy. So sometimes we go to events where they're either rainy or extremely sunny. It's nice to have some shade. We've actually held off on acquiring a canopy because it's just too big to keep in somebody's garage, or ask a volunteer to keep it.
Okay.
I should clarify that was my personal one, not a village one.
Yes.
The question I have is, what's the timeline you're looking to explore in terms of how long?
Till you kick us out? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or if you want to make it like, we have to revisit every 2 years or something like that.
We'll draft something and you
Yeah.
can take a look at it.
I mean, in general,
Something comes up where we need to move it, we'll have an ability to get out of the agreement,
Brilliant.
but it'd be fine.
thank you.
Need to bring that up? Do we need to bring that up?
No, it was part of.
It's in the
that was part of
resolution.
the
Fine.
resolution.
It's part of the resolution.
Yeah.
40-page
Right.
agreement, 50?
It was just,
I don't think it'll be quite that long.
no, the question was the indemnification, but that was part of the resolution.
Yes.
Good
so.
thing.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board?
No,
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Greg?
Oh, wait, I have to ask you, what is that thing on your right hand, that badge?
Oh, so on a scout uniform, the right pocket
Yeah?
holds a temporary patch. So you go to campouts or events. This was the Thunderbird Games, which was in the fall, and it was a day full of field games and different activities for the kids. And anyone that attends it gets one of these patches.
Wow,
So this is
cool.
the kids like
Temporary.
random patches.
Was that, it used to be at Croton, I don't know if it's still at Croton Point Park, but,
Last year was the first year they moved it from Croton to FDR Park.
oh, gotcha, okay.
And Greg Rivera was an Eagle Scout. Yeah?
Yeah. It's great. It's a great program for the kids.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, good luck.
Resolution number 3, considering allowing use of village streets and waiving restricted hours for Netflix filming.
Whereas, subject to the final approval of the Village of Rybrook Police Department, Netflix is authorized to utilize Lincoln Avenue for preparation of filming on May 3rd, 6th, 7th, and filming on May 8th, 9th, and 10th, and restoration on May 11th and 13th in an email dated February 5th. I should have said that's request of them. And whereas, under the Village Code, that outlines permissible hours for filming, and filming under the code can only take place between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. on Saturdays. And whereas in an application for Netflix for exterior filming utilizing Lincoln Avenue on the dates that they requested, there came that request. And whereas Netflix has requested
Bless you.
that permissible hours of operation be extended to allow filming and associated operations on the dates on the application to accommodate their production needs. And whereas the Village Code provides the Board may waive certain provisions of the filming code at their discretion, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the use of Lincoln Avenue for filming and associated operations and waives the filming restrictions with respect to hours of operation. And be it further resolved, the clerk is authorized to sign and execute all documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
A few comments here. First of all, I just want to make clear this is not Lincoln Ave down in between the Hutch and
Airport, Purchase College area.
right. That this is the upper Lincoln Ave off of King Street, between King Street and Purchase College. And so this is a far less used road than the Lincoln Ave that we're used to. Also, just that this was something that we had seen detailed plans, if I remember correctly, from the last time of how this
Yes,
was
it
going
was,
to
yes.
proceed.
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah,
It
a
came
while
up-
ago,
yeah, I
and it
remember.
never happened. So now
Oh, never
it's-
happened.
So now they have to reapply.
Okay.
So we had approved this previously.
Right. That's what I
This
thought.
is basically the same application, although, Chris, I did not see the other whereas clause in there that I had asked for.
That's
Which was that the mayor gets a bit part in
I was
it,
just
but-
gonna say, I said we should get apart, like, you know?
Exactly.
Then you have to join SAG-AFTRA.
Right. And I'm assuming that, Chief, this is all good with, okay.
Do we know when graduation is at Purchase College? That is my
I don't
only
know, but
thought.
they have to apply to them for because that's actually the
Right.
area they're using most of, is Purchase College area.
Right, so they would have to apply separately to purchase. So I would assume that, I mean, what we're doing here is allowing them to go outside the normal hours and use of the street, but it would still need to be approved, a lot of what they,
And there's very little filming actually occurring on Lincoln Avenue in Rybrook.
Okay.
It's just a moving vehicle, I believe. The rest of it is just blocking off the street. Most of it's going to take place in the Birches College side of Lincoln Avenue.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
I know it. That's right where our
Yeah.
benches are and, that
Yeah,
stuff.
right, basically.
I understand.
Yeah.
There's
We'll
very
be
little
blocked
going
off,
on.
and we'll still have access to the compost site.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Any other questions or comments?
No?
Friday, May 17th is their graduation, sorry.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you looked it up. Look at
Well,
that.
we have Google, it's amazing.
Could you explain that Google thing?
I tell my kids all the time, like,
You're
Google it.
amazing.
It's amazing. No encyclopedias.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 4, considering creating a special fund to accept proceeds from seized vehicles and authorize payments to relevant agencies.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook Police Department seized a 2004 Pontiac GTO, and whereas on June 14th, 2022, the Board of Trustees declared that vehicle as surplus, and whereas on October of 2023, the Board of Trustees awarded the Pontiac GTO to the highest bidder for $9,400, and whereas under the New York consolidated law, the Village of Rybrook must create a special fund to be able to accept proceeds and is legally bound to distribute certain amounts of those proceeds to relevant law enforcement agencies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby approves the creation of a special fund to accept proceeds from the seized 2004 Pontiac GTO, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees, as per the consolidated law, authorizes the distribution of the $9,400 in surplus funds as follows. So the Village of Rybrook would receive $3,854, which is 41%. The New York State Office of Addiction Services and Support is $3,008, which is 32%. And the Westchester County District Attorney's Office is $2,538, which is 27%.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Second.
As much as we want you to turn it down, not approve the resolution, we have no choice.
Right. I was going to say, I don't
We
think
finally
there's
got
a-
$9,400 for a surplus vehicle, and we got to give it away.
Really? Why does the Attorney General get some?
It's just the law, the way the law reads.
He wants to get paid for prosecuting, I guess.
$400 for a 2004?
I know, we were lucky to get that much.
Ripped off on my Camry.
All right. Any questions or comments?
No?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number, what am I on, 5? Sorry. Resolution number 5, considering renewing an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and I Am Responding.
Whereas the village has an existing agreement with I Am Responding, a web-based platform that allows firefighters to access information about properties when they respond to a call. And whereas I Am Responding has prepared a 5-year agreement for the Village of Rybrook Fire Department to access the I Am Responding web platform at a cost of $660 annually. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves a 5-year agreement with I Am Responding for access to its web-based platform for the fire department use for a term beginning April 1st, 2024, and ending on March 31st, 2029, and be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Obviously, a very important tool that's used by our fire department,
Yes.
and obviously we want to keep everything in place that we can to make their job as easy as possible, because we know it's difficult enough as it is.
I have a question.
Um,
Is there a separate agreement with Portchester firefighters also? In other words,
They
they're
have
paying-
the same program, but it's a different, they have their own program, their own use of the program.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
We share.
can
but
we
share-
piggyback?
We share information between the two.
Right, can we piggyback on their program?
They,
Is it
it goes per municipality, they're a separate department. So even, remember, they respond, we're collecting a whole lot more information right now because, the person who coordinates the program for us is firefighter Cantatori. And he's getting tons of data he's been entering into it. So it's only as good as the data you entered into it. It's not like it comes with all the data pre-populated. So the work that you put into putting the program in place will pay off. And we share the data, but I think we share it with Portchester, and I think we share it with the city of Rye, too. I think we share the data when we go there as well. So it's reciprocal.
So, so what is this now? It's a program that
It's a-
they use to when they go on a call
It's a tablet.
tablet.
It's a tablet, and you have access to the software. It's pretty nominal.
Okay.
$660 a year.
Yeah, right.
And basically, all the homeowner information that you have collected, the hydrant locations,
Oh.
if there's certain things stored in a particular commercial
House,
property,
property,
like
okay.
chemicals or anything like that, you have to enter in all the data, and whatever data you have entered in on it, if there's special needs, if there's anything else, the more data they enter in as they're responding to a call,
They know better.
what they're walking
Yeah.
into.
Okay.
So it's a really good program for
Yeah.
$660
Being
a
prepared to
year.
the scene. Okay.
How do they get the data for residential?
There's probably not much, right?
Yeah, probably just the GIS data.
Yeah, probably just
Yeah.
an address and where the electrical service is on the side of the house, or where the gas meter is.
But we get information from like the water company on the hydrant locations
Yes,
and
right.
GPS. They go around and get I think they enter in the GPS information, for location services on, where everything is. I think you guys use it where you are, right?
I use it myself in my department. It's very useful. It's lifesaver.
Yeah. But it's only as good as the data you put into it.
Right. And we have someone putting that data in.
Yeah. We have one champion of the project that really does the coordination, and he works with the others as they get information. But yeah, firefighter Cantatori is
One of our
that does it.
firefighters.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, good.
Any other questions or comments?
I would just seek to combine them in some way. Don't they all need access to the same information? Should they be responding?
They all need access to the same. They do share information across departments, but each department needs their own subscription.
Okay.
So like when we go to Rye, we share because we go to Rye now, right? And Rye will come to us. So we want them to know what we found in their locations and vice versa. Same thing with Portchester. Portchester has IM Respond. A lot of departments use IM Responding. It's pretty universal. Yeah, pretty much everybody has this. And the more they share with that data, the better the information is for everybody responding.
Right.
Okay.
So when incidents pop up, and so in the department, they come instantaneously from 60 control. So you can always know what's going on amongst others.
Yeah, but the tablet provides the more detailed information on the particular property.
No, but I guess my point is that we're a very small municipality, so we're paying the same amounts of money as other municipalities. So
I
they
don't know
don't
that.
distinguish by size at all.
I don't know that. I don't know how if their pricing is different by municipalities, but we're talking about $660 for the year.
I understand, that's not the
Yeah.
point. My point is, I'm just bringing that up as something that should
If
be,
you like, I can look into the pricing structure and see if it's by size of departments. I don't know.
okay, I'm just asking. Because, I'm fiscally asking these questions.
I think this one happens to be a really good value for the price. That's
Sure,
all.
I'm all for it because it's a safety thing. I'm just wondering what their thought process is.
Private company making money.
Yes, I see that.
$50 a month.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Right. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
It's just that there's so many
Tru-
programs that we have access to.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Resolution number 6, considering an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Cintas for office cleaning supplies.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook has a cleaning service that comes in daily to ensure the village meets its sanitary obligations, and whereas the village has been searching for a more cost-effective service to provide cleaning supplies for all its facilities, and whereas Rybrook wishes to enter into a proposed agreement with Cintas for office cleaning supplies, and whereas pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law, the village is authorized to make purchases, I won't read through everything, but basically maintain our facilities, and also to use any other type of piggybacking or bidding that's out there, contracts that are out there for available to municipalities on the lowest responsible bidder or on the basis of best value in accordance with general municipal law. And whereas on March 11th, 2014, the Board of Trustees adopted a local law pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law to authorize the award of piggybacking upon certain purchase contracts subject to competitive bidding on the basis of best value as defined by New York State finance law. And whereas under the terms of the proposed Cintas agreement, the village would piggyback off the master agreement with Prince William County School District in Virginia, available through Omnia Partners on the basis of best value for a period of 3 years. And whereas it is in the best interest of the village to enter into the agreement with Cintas to purchase cleaning supplies by piggybacking off that master agreement with Prince William County School District through Omnia Partners to save village extra costs that would have been incurred from other available cleaning supply providers. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposed agreement with Cintas by piggybacking off the master agreement with the Prince William County School District in Virginia through Omnia Partners off the basis of best value, subject to modification by council. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
Second.
And I want to thank Sherry for.
Oh, and be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute the agreement. Sorry.
Yeah. I want to thank Sherry for finding this.
Yep.
Usually it's Michael we're thanking, but we're thanking someone else this time.
So,
somehow
yeah, we compared the costs on what we've been paying through other bidding and other contracts, and this would save us money over the contract.
Which is great. I mean, wherever we can find the savings.
So I want to take a moment to also thank Ralph, because he was very helpful.
Yeah.
Just because this was a very complicated contract.
This was, yeah. And the board has to approve any best value contracts, so that's why that's also before you.
Gotcha.
Of course. Yep.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Good.
Thank you, Sherry.
The thing with the Prince William County, is that like a most favored nations clause, where we automatically get whatever their best price is anyplace else?
We're piggybacking off of their contract. So Prince William had gone out to bid and awarded the contract within their jurisdiction to Cintas. We are getting at least as good as Prince William is getting in our agreement with Cintas. And actually, when we went through and did the analysis and asked the questions we needed to ask of their representatives, Rybrook negotiated lower prices than even what Prince William is getting on their contract. So, so we're good. We're good to go.
No, I used to call something like that a most favored nations clause.
In this case, what they do is, like, I think because it's best value, Prince William, they have different states have different rules on how they put it out, which is why the board has New York State allows for best value, which is different than lowest responsible bidder. So you go through and you look at do an analysis of what's available. In some cases, there's multiple choices that are available, and in this case, this is the contract that we're able to find that would save us money.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right.
And just one thing I wanted to mention, I did do reference checks as well, just to verify, but everything in that positive.
Well, it's a well-known corporation.
Yeah.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 7, considering an agreement with PKF O'Connor Davies for auditing services.
Whereas PKF O'Connor Davies, located at 500 Mamaroneck Avenue, Harrison, New York, provides the Village of Rybrook with annual auditing services, and whereas the village would like to continue using this firm for auditing services, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees, also acting as the Board of Directors for the Friends of Rybrook, authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement with PFK O'Connor Davies of Harrison, New York, for auditing services for the Village of Rybrook and the Friends of Rybrook, and be it further resolved, the approval is subject to changes and modifications by the village attorney.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
Motion.
Second.
We've been very happy with the services and happier even with the results thanks to the diligence of village staff.
And when do we get to hear the audit report?
Oh, that's...
We just, I mean, it seems like...
And we should indicate this, we recommend the 2-year agreement.
Great.
So the 2-year agreement, just for clarification.
Any other questions or comments?
That locks in the prices for the 2 years that are in the proposal. And the Friends of Rybrook is because the audit includes that separate account for
Right.
which the board is the board of directors.
Right. Makes sense.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 8, considering awarding contract number 2401, emergency vehicle uplift.
Should be upfit.
Upfit, yeah, I was wondering, it did say upfit in the back.
Oh,
of the
yeah,
agenda.
no, it's incorrect on the one online. Whereas the Village of Rybrook has solicited bids for contract 24-01, emergency vehicle upfit. And whereas the bid for contract 2401 was advertised in the Westmore News as the official newspaper of the Village of Rybrook on January 12th, and was also made available in the Empire State Purchasing Group bid system. And whereas at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, January 30th, all bids received were open and summarized below. We received 3 bids from East Coast Emergency Lighting, another from RSC Emergency Lighting, and the third from Code 1 Solutions Corp. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees has determined that East Coast Emergency Lighting is awarded contract 2401 due to their grand total representing the weighted bid submission with the highest percentage discount off list price and the lowest hourly rate for installation and equipment removal. And be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary and appropriate to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Is this really our first contract of the year in February? Wow.
I know. Well, we've only had 2 meetings, right?
Yeah, I know. All right, any questions or comments?
Michael, I'm impressed that none of the bidders said $50,000.
I know, they're all within a reasonable range.
Close.
Right, there's not a huge difference on one of them.
Yeah.
For 50,000, I can do this.
And remember, the numbers there is a weighted total. That's not what we actually pay on this. This is the weighted total of the combination of the discount off list price and the lowest hourly rates. So there's a weighted total that gets put into it. And that's how you come up with the lowest responsible bidder.
Gotcha. All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 9, considering approval of a change order for the AJP Center walkway and boiler capital project.
Whereas on October 14th, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a change order in the amount of $3,957.28 to install additional chimney piping to address a chimney offset for the AJP walkway and boiler project. And whereas the village has incurred a change order to install bracing that required additional materials and labor for the AJP boiler project in the amount of $5,383.64. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the change order from Vinco Builders in the amount of $5,383.64 to install bracing for the AJP walkway and boiler project.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
So what, we approve a little more money and we just got to keep doing that?
Yeah, no, we if you remember, when we did the change order last time, we said there was going to be one more, yeah, for the bracing, but we didn't have it at that time. And that project's done, so it's good.
All right, great.
Move on. We can move on from it.
Any questions or comments?
It looks good, though. They did a nice job, I thought, with that project. So we have a new roof on the walkway now.
Walkway, right.
Yep.
Well, it's being tested now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, let's see how it holds the snow.
Good point.
Questions or comments? Any others?
No.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 10, considering approval of the minutes for the meeting held on September 26, 2023.
Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the minutes for the meeting held on September 26, 2023.
Can I have a motion and second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Right, where's the person in the back going, nay? Right. I just wanted to be that guy. All right, administrators report.
I'm just going to very briefly just mention two items. One is just, I thought the Public Works and Parks, again, did a great job for, I guess, the most significant storm in terms of totals we've had in several years. So they did a really great job today.
8 inches?
Yeah, 8 inches or so. It's the most we've had in a while.
Maybe,
8
but
inches?
yeah.
I think it was about 8 inches.
Yeah, that's the most we've had in a good number of.
It was David's
Wow.
brother.
I mean,
And I
I'm
hear that's
looking
the
on
last
news
snowstorm of the
today.
year, the storm of the year too, which is good.
Ooh, that was not me. I'm looking at Davis Weather Link. I don't know if do they show snowfall or just rainfall?
I don't know.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna find
interesting.
out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come out in the early morning and they, the middle of the night, and they work through to about what, 5 o'clock or so? Yeah, about 5 o'clock today. So making sure everything's cleaned up.
I was going to say,
So.
when I measured my driveway at 9 o'clock this morning, it was 3 inches.
Oh, really? No, I had
That
a
mo-
lot more than that.
And I assume there's maybe another inch and a half over the course of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, the heaviest I found was right before 11, right around the 10 to
This was
11.
this morning. Look, which is on my bird feeder.
pretty. I think-
Cardinal?
I had, I think it was
But
8 inches.
either way, I would echo Chris's sentiment
Yeah, they did
that
a great job.
it was a great job. The roads were in great condition. I drove around a little bit, not a lot, and certainly most of it was in the early afternoon. But I found the roads to be in great condition. I saw the plows. I heard the plows moving all over the place. So certainly thank you to all the staff for
And
For
it
doing
looked
a
like for
great
the
job.
most part, the residents stayed off the road, which is really key for us to get that job
Yeah.
done. So that was wonderful. And the only other item I just want to mention, we talked about it earlier, but this Thursday is the meeting with the residents on Brook Lane, Wyman Street, and Rock Ridge that are participating in the NRCS buyout program. And that's for them to learn more about the Nature Conservancy program, which we think after that meeting, then people will really have all the information they need to be able to make a decision on whether to accept the appraisal amounts or not, and also what else is available to them through that not-for-profit program.
Is that the one, Greg, that you've roped me into?
That's all I have for tonight.
All right, great. We certainly appreciate those efforts. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, the next meetings of the Board of Trustees, sorry, I have to scroll down, are February 27th and March 13th, 2024, and then we'll be,
It's March 12th, by the way.
sorry, March 12th. Thank you for that correction, and we will be soon thereafter moving into budget season.
Yes,
So
we will.
This is exciting times, so thank you and have a good night.
So-